And we're back for another exciting episode of the Creators Collective. We are going to have an exceptionally fun week again this week, which should be rather fun. I do want to say a huge thank you to our patrons on Patreon, particularly Darren Mates, Caleb Harris of You Can Make This Too, and John from John Made It. You guys are helping making this podcast better. If you'd like to find out more about that, you can go to Creators Collective /podcast, and I'm going to talk over Zach one more time.
Okay. Well, I just want to say thanks.
Is that what you said? Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Is my mic loud enough?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay.
So if you want to join us live, we are every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern time, and you can join the live chat, have your questions answered on air, and be part of the party in the background. So we'd love to see you there. If you can go to YouTube at the Creators Collective and join us there. So that's about it for the intro. Let's go into what we're working on. Zach, you got anything?
Yeah.
Ooh. Is it crazy? Is it crazy?
I don't know. No, I don't think it's actually crazy this week. Nice try, Will.
Oh, damn.
So just a lot of catching up and on orders and stuff. Those little Mini-Cleavers, I finally finished those up and actually made sheaths. The first time I've made knife sheaths before out of veg tan leather and wet formed them, and they turned out really well. So that was a fun little learning experience. I'm pretty happy with the way those came out.
Looked really sweet.
Thanks. Yeah, I was initially gonna like sew them, like saddle stitch them. And if anybody's ever done saddle stitching before, it's not that it's definitely not hard, but it's certainly time consuming. And especially when you're going around like contours and stuff, because you have to like punch them, and it just takes a long time. I mean, between punching all the holes, like just threading it doesn't, threading the needles takes too dang long, I think. Especially if you're doing it, you have to do 2 needles for each thing. And it's one of those things where you spend so much time like just setting up to do stuff. And so I figured, well, I'm going to try doing these rapid rivets instead. And there's a picture of it for anybody who's curious on my Instagram. And it really turned out well. The rivets are really quick, and I like the way it looks. So that was a fun little learning experience for me.
So is there a difference between rapid rivets and just like the normal kind of rivets that you punch the hole and you have the 2 pieces and then you strike the rod thing, the concave?
I don't know my rivet etymology. Would that be the right word? I don't.
No, I don't think.
There's a lot of different types of rivets, and so the ones that I've traditionally used, like on the bags and stuff that I've done, are like the post rivets. I don't even know if that's what they're called, but it's exactly what it sounds like. One side has a post, the other side like kind of wedges. You push it, and it's like tapered, and it kind of like slides down. It won't come back off, and then you clip the post and pound it down. Those are like the ones on jeans, like that have like a little nipple, for lack of a better word. Those are the ones that I typically use. But these, I got a press, a little I think it's a 1 1/4 ton arbor press, like one of the big hand crank ones for like punching holes and setting rivets and all that stuff. I got one of those at Tandy, and it's been pretty awesome. So it has these adapters, so I can actually put on like the chisel, diamond chisel tips for like actually when I do stitch stuff, or for punching holes, or for setting rivets. So it has a whole bunch of little adapters and stuff. So I use the rapid rivets, and they super fast and easy, and I think they look good. But yeah, to answer your question, I have no idea. I have no idea which ones are actually which.
Okay, so the ones that I've used only once were, there's 2 pieces. There's one piece with like a post, and then so basically a male and a female piece. And then you punch a hole with a hole punch where you want the rivet. Then you stick the male end through the post, and then you slip the female on top of that, and then you just kind of punch it with a metal rod on a strike plate, and it sets, and there's no clipping or anything like that. But
it sounds pretty similar to the ones that I used, but like I said, I don't know. But yeah, I think there's at least 2 or 3 different types of rivets, and I think they're all kind of the same principle, but they're all just a little bit different. So
okay.
But yeah, so that's did those, got those all out in the mail yesterday. I got a new batch of shirts in, and I can't believe it's like a joke every time I get an order of shirts. Like I just spent like I think 350, $400 on an order of shirts. And it's not that I'm out. I'm just out of certain sizes. So like I ordered so many larges and extra larges because that's what I'm sold out of. And then all the orders will be for like a different size this week. So seriously, every time I get like an order like 25, 30 shirts in, I will, whatever size I have the least amount of, everybody orders that. And then so I'll have like 50 shirts and I'll be like out of mediums in both gray and black in like 2 days. It's crazy. So yeah, I don't understand it. So anyway, shirts, just orders, shirts, getting those knives, the sheaths done. I got to do some video editing, and man, I've been putting that off so long. I didn't put a video out all of July. It's been almost, yeah, it's coming up on 2 months since I've had a video out. I've been busy. I just haven't been editing my videos because I don't want to. Like, it's not that I don't enjoy the process. My mind just hasn't been in like video editing mode, but I'm planning on doing some of that today. Got the one I'm working on right now, and it's almost done. It's the anvil stand for that new Fontanini anvil, 250-pound anvil that I got. So yeah, hopefully I'll have that one out sometime within the next week for sure. I think that's everything.
Cool. Yeah, handcrafted by Ons asked, any concern with the cutting edge of the knife rubbing against the inside of the rivet?
No.
Do they hold the leather tight enough so the blade can't touch it? Is the second part of that question.
Well, I think it's kind of like, I mean, if you think about it, I'm going to try and demonstrate, but the rivets kind of create like a channel. So I don't think there's enough. I mean, the blade actually slides up and down through like kind of a taper above the rivets. So the edge isn't touching the rivets. I mean, the leather is stiff enough to where the rivets don't have to be super close to the edge to actually have to hold it in place. So yeah, I'm not really too concerned with that. But yeah, it's really neat. I mean, they lock into place. I mean, they pop in there when you do the wet forming. It kind of creates a little home for the knife in there. So I'd like to figure out how to make it because they're the perfect size for like a belt. I want to like create a sheath where you could actually stick it on your belt someday. So anyway.
Cool. What you got, Will?
Oh, marking knives. So I finished up, I was doing 2 marking knives, but chalk it up to learning. I kind of destroyed the first knife blank, chasing a bevel. All right. So I did the first marking knife blank, and it was kind of a very petite blade, and I ground too much. So I actually ground I ground to the back, so there was actually an edge before I heat treated and everything. And then when I went back to go grind both of the knife blanks, the more petite of the ones, I got the bevel off on the center line, and I kept chasing it, trying to get it centered again, and finally kind of just ate away all of that. But the second marking knife turned out so good, awesome. The only problem is the handle cracked when I wedged it in.
I saw that.
I was so bummed. I was like, no. But it's razor sharp, and I used it to cut to lay out some dovetails for dovetail practice yesterday. And it's so nice having marking knives. So I'm going to batch out some of those. I've got some steel on order. It should arrive today per Zack's recommendations. I ordered some 1075, 1080 from Admiral Steel. And it was actually in their discount section.
I just ordered some like 3 days ago, and there was no discount section.
Oh, really?
Or it wasn't in the discount section.
This is 1/8 by, I did 1/8 by 1 inch, 1/8 by 1.5 inches, and 1/8 by 2 inch all 5-foot sections, and they're like $8 a piece, I think.
Oh man, I need to see if that's still up there because
Yeah,
I need some.
and then
I want to try some Damascus. I want to try forging some Damascus sometime in the next month or two.
that'd be cool.
I need 1.5 because the 15N20, which is the nickel metal for the shiny parts after you etch it, that's usually, at least the sources I found, usually sell that in 1.5 width. So
okay. But yes, I'm excited about that, and there's a lot of interest on Instagram. If I did do some marking knives, people wanted them, so I think we're gonna do like a batch of, I don't know, 10 or so, and sell those. Do a limited edition run. What else? I just looked at a big built-in bookcase job out of Cherry. A couple just bought a house and wanted to turn the formal living room into their library. The only issue with that build is there's some inconveniently located windows that are like, they're not like a normal height window. They're taller. So, an 8-foot sheet of cherry plywood would end kind of right at the top of the windows, which makes it kind of a weird detail. But that should be a big project. I mean, probably 10 sheets of cherry plywood, a few hundred board feet of cherry for face frames and shelving material, and but that should be a good moneymaker. I'm feeling Zach's pain about editing video. I'm working on the walnut twin pedestal trestle dining table video, and it's such a big build that it's going to be a longer video, and I keep putting it off. So I'm editing like an hour at a time, and then I come back a few hours later and hate everything that I've done. So I redo everything, and I'm just kind of like spinning my wheels on this video. But it should be a good video when it's done. I'm just being my own harshest critic. And then last weekend we had a meetup in Richmond, Virginia. Darwin Orver and I hosted a meetup at the Hardywood Brewing Company in Richmond, and there's a great turnout. A lot of people that we follow, that we all follow on Instagram or know from the YouTubes or Instagram. Scott Hahn, a listener of this show, was there from Hahn Made. Lazy Guy DIY, Adam was there. Lavarn Designs, she does a lot of tables on Instagram. She was there. It was just a great meetup. It was a good time. But yeah, that's what I got going on. How about you, James?
Sweet. Well, I actually put out a video on carving a spoon, a walnut spoon that I'm in love with it. I've done quite a few spoons carved.
That is a good looking spoon.
It's sexy, isn't it?
I like the I like the handle, how it's not just like a boring straight spoon. It's got like this nice kind of sexy curve to it.
Yeah. I've done quite a few spoons with power tools in the past, and getting a belt sander out and grinder and shaping them down with that. But that was years ago, and so I figured it was about time I actually tried to do one with just hand tools. And I picked a piece of walnut, but didn't quite realize the grain on it was going quite wild. And originally the spoon was going to have a suede handle, but it was just going to be more of a simple ending. But as I started cutting into it, the grain kept splitting out in different directions and created this little fishtail into it. And I'm in love with it.
Yeah, I think it's
because it actually comes to a sharp chisel point on the end.
It's kind of a weird thing to like be into the shape of a spoon, but it's a good looking spoon. I like it. It's like it's like an artistic version of a spoon. It's now actually my fastest growing YouTube video. Wow. So who would have thought?
Yeah, I know. It was like 30,000 views in the first day. So
that's crazy.
I was happy. Yeah, so I've got that video up and going, and then I did my first live session on creating a turning saw last night. So I'm doing a live video every week, usually on Tuesday, but we had to move it to Wednesday this week. And so I was doing a joint each week, and now I'm actually going to be doing a build over the series of several videos. And so we're going into full detail. They're like hour-long live sessions where you get to see every little mistake or problem that comes up. So those are kind of fun to show off. But yeah, we're starting a new turning saw.
So yeah, your turning saw, I saw some pictures of it. I guess I was confused as to what a turning saw is. It looks kind of like what I would call like a bow saw, where you'd have the pivot point in the middle and you know, tie in.
Yeah, a turning saw is a type of bow saw. Bow saw is kind of a broad range for anything with a blade on the outside, a stretcher in the middle, and a tensioning device on the other side.
Okay.
And so in that you also have like some pit saws, you have continental bow saws, you have your buck saws. They're all a type of bow saw.
So what makes it a turning saw?
Well, a turning saw is a saw where the blade can turn 90 degrees. So rather than being in line with the frame, it can actually turn 90 degrees to the frame. And it's kind of more or less focused on the bandsaw equivalent in hand tools. So usually a thinner blade like 1/4 inch or 3/8, something of that nature. Some of the continental style blades might be up to 1 1/4 inches wide. But most of the time they're a thinner blade used for anything you would cut on a bandsaw. So the bigger brother to the coping saw.
Okay. Excellent answer.
Yeah, I think the term turning refers to the idea that you can turn the blade, but most people kind of think of it as a turning saw, as in it will turn in the cut. So if you're doing large swoops, it will aid you in that. But I'm doing this one as a really artistic version of it, so it'll be very organic shaped and carving, and every inch of this will have some textured surface or carving into it. So it should be a very fun project to follow along with. Let's see, what else I got going on? Oh yeah, later today, or if you're listening to this, you probably have seen the video come out. I did a video on restoring a handsaw handle, and well, specifically replacing the horn on the top. So if they ever fall or break off, or you're ever restoring an old saw, a lot of them are missing the horn from previous breaks. It's actually a fairly quick fix, and a very fun one.
Oh, speaking of restorations, I'm looking forward to that video, James, because I do restore a lot of old hand tools. But a friend of mine, Dave Smith, who was at the meetup last weekend, was telling me that he's intimidated by hand planes, and that he didn't know kind of how to get started, but he found his dad's old hand planes. And I said, oh, that's great. Bring them over to my shop. We'll restore them. We'll get them in working order and, you know, get you off to the races. But he said, well, I don't know that they need that much restoring because they're still in the original boxes, and they're turn of the 20th century Stanley number 2, a router plane, a number 4, and something else. But he has the original boxes from like 1900, and they look like clean, almost crazy. Brand new. Just need a little touch up, but he doesn't know how to use them, and so I'm really excited. We're gonna bring him into the shop. We're gonna do a video on them. But I just thought you guys should, especially you, James, would like to hear about such things.
They're probably worth some
crazy
bucks.
cool.
Yeah, I think they're probably worth more in sentimental value than they are monetarily.
Wow.
Well, like I have my router plane is actually original Stanley. When I got it, I was basically the first person that still had tags on it in the box, and they're usually at that condition around 150 to 200 bucks.
Okay.
I thought like the old Stanley number 2s are like one of the most.
Yeah. In the box.
I was gonna say the number 1s.
Well, the number 2 in the box is, you could probably get 400 bucks for it.
Yeah. Wow. I'll let him know.
That's what I'm saying. I think he's actually sitting on some high dollar gear there.
Number
Especially
2
in the box,
probably
that adds a lot.
And yeah, either the number 2 or the number 8. If they're in the box, it's one of the hardest ones, hardest ones to come by, other than the number 1.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was going to say, number 2, you don't really ever use as a.
Oh, no. Number 2 is actually really useful smoothing plane.
Really?
Yeah. See, I use mine quite a bit.
Interesting.
It's great for hangnails.
Everything I've read, like when Chris Shores, wrote about a number 2, where a number 1, they speculated that it was probably better for aging carpenters that had a hard time holding a block plane with arthritic hands. That a number 1, they would reach for that over a number
I think the number 1s are like, I mean, they look like novelty items. They look like a miniature. Like they're just so ridiculously small. Like you can even feel like you can't even like get your fingers in there to turn the adjuster. But
yeah,
the number 2 is actually it's large enough that I can still get my hand in the handle. Whereas the number 1, I can get 2 fingers in there. I can't get anything more. And it's such a small sole, but you can still get your palm behind it and force it, unlike a block plane. That allows you to then spot smoothing on a board, so you're not actually having to, with the number 4, you end up covering a much larger area, whereas with the number 2, you can just hit a small area to smooth out that section.
Make Brooklyn says a number 1 looks like you should hang it from a rearview mirror. Which is
yes,
my thoughts exactly. That was the best way.
That would be amazing. Instead of the dice, you hang a number 1, and then people break through your windshield to steal it.
Because we all know that looters and criminals know the value of Stanley number 1 hand planes.
Yeah.
Hey, a down and out woodworker. It's hard to make money in this business. So
it's true.
Well, cool.
Where were we? Yeah, what's going on? Where are we?
You were restoring a horn on a handsaw.
Oh yeah. Restoring a hand. So it should be kind of fun. I'm actually, I wanted to replace the handle with something original because I think it was originally an apple wood handle. I don't quite know. Sometimes they're hard to identify. And so I was looking for something similar. And I thought about using cherry, but it wasn't quite going to match. If I wanted to make it match, I wanted to make it match. I didn't want to get close. And so I thought, since I can't get it right on, I'm going to do something fun. And so I made the horn out of Paduk, and it looks cool. And the fun thing about it is that once you put BLO on it, it has a darker, richer red tone to the wood. And so it kind of goes with it in that it's a matching family color, but it's not quite as the Paduk is just bright. And so it kind of stands out and makes it look interesting. So I was very, very, very happy with how it came out. But you'll have to see the video later. Cool. Do we have any questions? Yes, we do have one from MoonshineMetalworks. You guys are all well-established YouTube makers, but can you still remember your first really popular video and how many views blew you away then as compared to now?
So my first video, my assembly table, which people still talk to me about, is still one of my most viewed videos, which makes me cringe because it was way back then and I used like really campy music and I didn't do any voiceover. And but that one, I was kind of unique because that video just did really, really well. And I wasn't expecting it to, but it did. Then the second one, I'm going to use a lot of buzzwords in this, was my book matched live edge dining table that I made for a client. I've gotten to the point where I can kind of gauge what's going to be a really popular video versus, what's just kind of I made this thing and then made a video on it. So I knew that video was probably going to do well, and it did. I think it got 30,000 views in the first 2 weeks or something like that, which is good for me. I know you guys have much higher viewer numbers, but yeah, I don't know. Zach?
I don't know. I feel like it's like the YouTube lottery. Like it's almost certain that if it's like, this is the one, like I've put so much work into this. I love the design on it. I put countless time into editing, thinking about, all of this, then it's almost certain that video is going to do terrible. And if it's like, hey, I'm going to record me making breakfast and throw that up there, it's like probably going to, it seems like it's like an exact inverse relationship between what I think is going to succeed and what actually does. The first video for me that really blew up and got me to actually quit my job was the industrial wall sconce video. That's almost to 1 million views now. I think it got like 700,000 when I first put it out. And that was me peaking. That was the best video I've ever had, and I have never been able to achieve anything even close to that. But I have noticed, and I feel like I'm not the only one. I feel like it's become harder to get views over the past past year or two. I used to, I mean, when I started this, and I think there was a lot less competition out there, there's a lot less people doing this on YouTube, but I could pretty much guarantee that any video I'd put out would get at least, 20, 30. I feel like I was actually averaging about 50 to 60,000 views per video. And now I'm lucky to get like 20, usually 20 is what I get out of a video. So either my content has gotten way worse, which I don't think that's the case, or I just think that there's more competition, and who knows what's going on behind the scenes with YouTube and that sort of thing. But I don't know. I try not to let that consume me. It's I do what I want and put videos out every couple of months.
I definitely think there's a consistency of upload factor.
Certainly.
I think James can probably speak the most to that out of the three of us.
Well, I can speak a lot to it too, because I don't post consistently, and it makes it really hard.
Yeah.
I've never had a blow up video. I have 4 videos that have more views than I have subscribers, and they're not that many more views than I have subscribers. So I've never actually had one that's really exploded. I have a few that have done well, but I cannot tell which ones are going to do well, which ones aren't, because my top performing videos are throwaway videos that I like. Oh no, I've got to have a video up to stay consistent. Let's quickly shoot this thing, and those are the ones that do well.
Yeah, it's really strange.
I cannot guess which ones will do and which ones won't. But I have a very consistent flow to it. I think the first big explosion I had was when Matt Cremona posted one of my videos, but that wasn't that big. It's still the most subscribers I've gotten in one day. I got 400 subscribers in one day that day, which was rather kind of impressive. But
that's great.
Yeah.
Matt definitely helped me get a little boost. I made a video and sent it to his weekly update for consideration, and he mentioned it on his weekly update, and I got a bunch of subscribers from that. That and the Grizzly Challenge really helped me. Really gave me a boost. But as long as you're consistent, James, I think I would go for consistency.
Yeah. No, and I've had a very consistent, steady upgrowth that has been just a perfectly straight line for the last 3 years. So it's
I don't know. I have a different approach though. Like, I mean, I think that I think it's the same for each of us. Is like I don't feel like we're catering to try and like hit this algorithm. Yeah, like James, you just naturally put out a lot of content. I don't think you're doing it because you're like, okay, this is the best way to maximize my blah blah blah. I think you're doing it because you're James, and you just that's what you do. Like you crank out content. So I think that I would be remiss if I were to suggest that people do everything that they think is going to maximize their do what makes you happy. That's my advice. Like I try never to compromise what I want, like what I feel like doing for what I think is going to benefit me the most, or what's going to like trigger the YouTube algorithm, or I don't know. I feel like that's like the sprint versus the marathon. Like if you're always looking for immediate satisfaction, you're never, in the long run, you're going to miss out on on the big picture. So do what makes me happy. That's my.
I guess
Because I mean, the thing is like, and this is what Paul Jackman and I are actually doing a joint talk at the Workbench Con next year, and this is the topic we're talking about. Is like everybody talks about following the formula and like the recipes for success, and the thing is like, you're never going to go to somebody's talk and they're going to be like, hi, you know, hi, I'm Johnny Brook, and I'm here to talk to you about Ben Ueda's formula for success. Or, you know, like, it's not, everybody has their own. Everybody has a formula, but it's not universal, I don't think. You know, people just do what they focus on their strengths and make those work to their advantage. I don't think there's one way to do it, because it's pretty easy to burn yourself out, especially if you have a full-time job and you're doing this on the side. Like, keep it fun. Like, that's why you got into it. Don't give that up to try and, you know, chase the YouTube algorithm, or I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent, but
no, that's funny.
This.
That's funny. I am also giving a talk at Workbench Con next February with Rick Lefevre. And we're just talking about how to make your videos better cinematically, how to use your camera better, how to make videos better. And that's really what I focus on now is A, the project, and making my skill set better. And then B, my production value, you know, making something that I would want to watch, and not, you know, just making content to make content. Where James, I feel like you are more of an educator.
Yeah,
you know,
my videos for the really long tail search results, not for anything to explode.
But you've got a really genuinely interested following of people that want to learn hand tool woodworking. So I think we're all so different that it's really hard to kind of pinpoint, you know, why we YouTube. And, you know, searching for views. Yeah, it's awesome when a video goes just bananas, but you don't really.
Handcrafted by On says James puts out a ton of content for the same reason he does everything else: masochism.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, for me, views, if I get a video that goes nuts, the only thing it benefits is my ego. So,
well, you can't forget that extra $15 you make for having a viral video.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
can't forget that.
Yeah, I do have a 3D printer coming for free though, so that's fun. You know, you do gain the attention of brands and products. So I don't know. YouTube's weird.
It's very weird. And to try and understand it is even weirder. It just is. It just is.
All right. Well, let's move on. Let's talk about the photo challenge.
Yes.
So the current theme is symmetry. So you have one more week. We will pick our favorites next week and announce a winner. Use the hashtag creators photo challenge on Instagram. If you're not on Instagram, then get on Instagram. And so in your workshop or something to do with creating something, try to use symmetry in your imagery. Try to make a well-balanced image. That is the theme for this week. Post it using hashtag creators photo challenge, and we'll pick our favorites and announce a winner next week. And that's my.
I'm looking forward to seeing this one.
Yeah, there's already some really good entries.
I've got to figure it out. Cool. Well, we have a joke of the week from Fernibcreations. Fernibcreations.
Fernibcreations? I don't know. Fernib.
I don't know. I've got to figure that one out. Why did the blacksmith take so long to make a longsword? Because he really had to draw it out.
Nice.
But that was a good one. That was a nice, like, easy.
We don't get a whole lot of blacksmithing jokes. So if you have a blacksmithing joke, feel free to send it to one of us, and we'll try and get that on here. We do have a couple other jokes on the list, but we always are looking for more. So thank you for the horrible dad jokes. They make everything much better.
Try to make it as awkward as possible.
I was in my live video last night, and one of the guys posted on there, tell us a dad joke. And then everyone in the group was, started chanting, tell us a dad joke, tell us a dad joke.
Did you find you come up with
It's impossible to think of a dad joke off the top of your head
spot.
while you're working on something.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I would not do well with that. There'd be a lot of ums.
Cool. Let's get into what we're watching, reading. Will, why don't you go?
Speaking of Matt Cremona, I just watched his walkthrough of Canadian Woodworks, Paul from Canadian Woodworks / Legacy Lumber, and holy moly, that his workshop is blown up. This thing is huge. He's got ridiculously big bandsaws and tools and CNCs and big slabs, the widest cutting bandsaw mill in Canada, as well as a vacuum kiln, which I had never seen before, but it makes me want one so bad. This thing is ridiculous. And he says he can take a freshly sawn log, put it in the vacuum kiln up to like a stack up to 4 feet high, and have wood dry, like big slabs, like 12-quarter slabs, ready in a matter of weeks. That's insane. And I just want to go. It makes me want to move to Canada. Like, and he yeah. Anyway, go watch it. It makes you want to just sell all your crap and move to Canada, like next to him, and just work with him. But anyway, James, what do you?
Yeah, you saw his belt sander in the video before that.
Oh yeah, there's like a 60-inch.
Not belt sander, surface sander, or what is it? Panel sander. What's the term called?
I don't know. My jaw was on the floor the whole video.
He could almost put me through this thing sideways. It was
wow.
He actually could put my wife through there sideways. Okay, let's get off that topic.
I don't know why it got so awkward.
Yeah. I'm next. That's right.
Yeah, you're next.
I've got a channel that I came across, How Ridiculous. And these guys, 3 guys in Australia, and they drop things off of this tower that is, I'm trying to remember how tall. I think they said 50 meters. So it's a really, really tall tower. Well, that ended up coming like almost 200 feet. But they'll take like a bowling ball and drop it off, and so you get to kind of play in your mind in these physics and kind of guess what's going to happen. And it hits the sand and impacts. But what would happen if you take a bowling ball and you drop it off into a trampoline? And then what would happen if you dropped an anvil on an anvil? Would the earth explode? And so there's all these fun ideas of incredible things that were very surprising, like oobleck, the cornstarch and water mixture that you can walk on, but if you stand still, you drop into it. Mm-hmm. What happens if you drop a bowling ball into that? Or what happens if you drop a dart into that?
Belly flop into it.
Yeah.
The surface tension.
And so it's just a really, the physics to it were mind-boggling and a lot of fun. And it was a good way to let my brain kind of relax and go crazy at the same time. So, and not to mention 3 crazy guys talking with an Australian accent. It's just, you can't not watch that video. Definitely worth taking some time and binge watching. What you got, Zach?
So I'm going to go with 2 of them. My number 1 is going to be Keith Johnson Woodworks, KJ Sawdust on Instagram. In addition to being a buddy of mine, his Instagram's just been blowing up over the past like 6 months, and a lot of he's just putting out these really quick videos, like these little teasers that are just really fun to watch. So yeah, if you're not following him, he does some really cool high-end woodwork stuff, and he's just a good dude. So check him out. And also for the readers out there, I'm reading an old book by Sir William Scott. It was written in like the early 19th century. It's called Ivanhoe, and it's pretty unbelievable. It's really good. It's kind of a knight-ish type thing about the Saxons and
That's actually funny.
It's just good. It's really, really good.
My family just got back from Edinburgh yesterday, so
yeah,
and there's a big statue of Sir Walter Scott right on Prince's Street.
It is such a good book. I mean, it's one of those. It's a little bit, it has some of the older diction in there, and there's a lot of some thee, thou, thy, air type stuff in there, but it's just, I mean, it's so, people just don't generally write like that anymore. Not the words, but like just how intricately woven, and it's just so good. I mean, it's I think it's one of the earlier references that actually, Robin Hood's in it. He's not the main character, but it's just so cool. It's, you're reading the book and you're like, oh my God, Robin Hood's here. This is crazy. And you just don't expect it. It's just built really, really well. And yeah, so it's a good book. So for anybody who's into that sort of thing, I highly recommend it.
Sweetness. Cool. Well, since you're talking, why don't you tell us what your favorite product of the week is?
So I am going to actually go, this is a weird one. I have been putting in a lot of time on this guitar here. This is a boutique build called it's a Relic boutique 53 Blackguard Telecaster. This is like my main guitar. I use this thing for everything. It's by a company called Big Tex that makes some really high-end guitars. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of recording lately, and that's part of the reason that I haven't put out as much content, is we're really getting this Amplitunes music service going, and it is taking off, which is really good. But now we have the problem of, me being busy doing my normal work and my partner John being full-time doing other stuff. We're trying to squeeze in, recording, tracking, and producing music into our normal days, which is a considerable amount of work. I mean, every song takes almost the same amount of time as a video takes. I mean, most of the songs we have, probably 7 to 10 hours into a song, and we're putting it all out for free. Fortunately, our Patreon's starting to take off, so that's helping a little bit, but that's the tool that I've put the most time in on this week, is that Telecaster. So nice. I'll see if I can find a link for it.
Yeah, soon my intro will actually be one that you guys have created, so I'm looking forward to that.
We're working on it. We did some stuff for Jimmy. We've done some music for him. He's going to be putting it in his Instagram video and a couple of videos that he has coming out. And we're also working with Brad Rodriguez. What's funny? Did I miss something?
In the chat, Gizankt. Yes, nice guitar. How well does it take an edge?
That's good. I don't have a witty answer for that. I tried. Yeah, so we're also doing some stuff, working on some stuff for Brad Rodriguez from Fix This Build That. So just trying to get the exposure out there, and it seems to be doing well. So yeah, see if I can find a link.
Sweet. Well, what you got, Will?
So my carbide scribe, my metal scribe, with a magnet on the back, because I'm doing these marking knives and working more with metal and knife making. I ordered a simple carbide tip metal scribe, and it's got a magnet on the back, and it's like $8 on Amazon, and it's just really nice to lay out knives, and then you can use the magnet on the back to test for magnetism as you're heating up the blades before quenching. And it's just a simple, easy $8 tool that makes my life so much easier.
Sweetness.
Yeah. How about you, James?
I have to go with the 1/2-inch chisel. No, I'm not going to do that again.
How about the compass plane?
I'm going to do something very similar, actually. I'm going to take a 1/2-inch chisel and I'm going to bend it a little bit and turn it into a gouge. And this is my tool for this week. So I've actually been using my carving gouges a good bit recently. And it is amazing what you can do with a good sharp gouge. And they feel fantastic in the wood, and you see these curls coming up. And if you watch my spoon video, you'll see what I'm talking about when I talk about chocolate ice cream with a gouge. They make me hungry. So yes, a good carving gouge. The ones I have are from Two Cherries, and they will treat you extremely well. So I think that's what we have for this week. Anything else I need to talk about before we go?
Well, I'm going to post that link really quick for anybody who's curious, because I know there's a ton of guitar players that follow this podcast. I'm sure it's sarcasm. So
No,
apparently, it looks like this is news to me, but it looks like this company's went out of business because I can't find their website, which is unfortunate because they're pretty big. Texas, pretty renowned. Like they built guitars for like Bill Kirchen and Billy Gibbons, the ZZ Top. So they've done a lot of really high end stuff. There's a link to one that's for sale. Oh, it's sold. Never mind. Well, there's a picture of it. So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of a bummer. Yeah.
Oh well.
Bummer.
Well, on that note, I want to say a huge thank you for everyone joining this week, especially those of you in the live chat. We love having your comments and questions on there. If you'd like to join us every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, you can go to youtube.com Creators Collective, and we will love to see you on there. Again, I want to say a huge thank you to our patrons on Patreon. If you'd like to find out more about that, you can go to patreon.com/Creators Collective, and we'd love to see you there. I think that's about it for this week. So until next time, have a wonderful day.
See you later.
Adios.